Hey there, AI adopter. So let's talk about something that honestly, in my opinion, doesn't get enough attention. You know, most people out there, they're obsessing over prompts, including me sometimes, right? But like finding that perfect way to phrase a question to ChatGPT, that's not enough, okay? And don't get me wrong, that stuff really matters. That's why we cover it here at the AI Adopters Club. But professionals who actually advance in their careers, they got something special out there, okay? They're doing something different. They're seeing the connections where that AI completely misses sometimes and by itself can't even see because it's not end to end yet. And here's the thing, AI projects fail at pretty predictable rates. I mean, we've seen it all. And there's this one skill that separates the teams that actually ship stuff from the teams that just keep spinning their wheels. So let me show you what that pattern looks like. And here's a little preview of what you should be reading. But you can read about this in the newsletter today. So, all right, as you can see already, we're talking about systems thinking, right? And here's this pattern that's been hiding in plain sight, if you will. And I want to give you two really different examples that show what I'm talking about. First, here on the left, we have Amazon. And maybe you heard about it, but Amazon's hiring algorithm, I think it was in 2014 or 2017, I forget, it completely collapsed. And why? Because the engineers, they optimized for historical patterns without actually mapping who those patterns formed in the first place. They just looked at the data, plugged it in, and boom, disaster. I think the end result was that no females were hired for specific roles based on historical patterns. Now, contrast that on the right side here with Substack's case, where they managed to cut wait times without really hiring staff. They did it in a very simple way. I mean, technically, theoretically simple. They mapped the customer flow, the employee movement, and equipment placement as one connected system, all interconnected, all right? Same tools available to both companies, but a totally different approach. And that's really what system thinking is. It's the ability to see how parts influence each other and create feedback loops within that system. And when you automate a process without mapping dependencies, you're just shifting work somewhere else, right? So imagine your marketing gets buried in requests, support inherits all edge cases only, and then IT ends up with maintaining three different versions of the same workflow. We don't want that. Here's what people really miss. AI systems operate inside of complex human organizations and operational contexts. If you treat them as isolated tools, you're going to miss the ripple effects every single time. So let me break it down what exactly that means and how Starbucks, for example, did it. Step one, the problem. Long queues, right? Stressed employees during peak hours. The obvious fix, hire more baristas, right? That's where everybody would go and what they would think in the first place, right? Step two, the mapping. This is where it gets interesting. They looked at how customers flow, employee roles, menu complexity, and technology all connected. And they found something that was really interesting, and that was that custom drinks were creating bottlenecks. Baristas were walking too far to get supplies, and the whole thing was inefficient. Then we have step three, the solution. They simplified the menu layouts. They repositioned equipment based on actual movement patterns, and they added order ahead capability. Pretty straightforward once you map it out. And then we have step four, the result. Shorter wait times, higher sales per hour, and happier staff. I would call that a win, 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 win if you ask me. And here's the real lesson. Small, targeted fixes in the right places produce system-wide improvements. If you automate the wrong tasks, you just amplify dysfunction. But automate and make the leverage points more efficient, if you will, and then the whole system improves as a whole, right? I guess the whole system as a whole. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually build this skill? Right? So that's where we get into this, because I do think that this skill is going to be one of those things that sets you apart in the AI economy. So obviously, this is a great question. Systems thinking develops through practice and not really theory. So let me give you 3 exercises that fit into about 30 minutes. First, the iceberg model. When a problem surfaces, ask what's beneath. All right, what's causing it? Systems sit on top, pattern run deeper. All right, that's the idea here. And structures cause those patterns. Like your team, for example, keeps missing a deadline. That's the symptom. The pattern, unclear handoff, maybe. The structure, no shared project tracker. Very simple, right? So, second here, process mapping on paper. Just pick one workflow, draw every step, every stakeholder. All right? Add arrows for dependencies, connect the whole thing, include the indirect impacts. Even a messy map reveals bottlenecks and feedback loops that you completely miss when you're thinking in sequence. And it's also good to see it visually, all right? Third, the who else gets affected question. Before implementing a change, ask this once. If you've got Slack, ask it 3 times. Say AI summarizes your meeting notes for you. Who else gets affected by that? The compliance team, legal team, your offshore teams working in different time zones. One question surfaces dependencies, and you'd find later when they break. And if you want to go deeper, here are 2 books that I genuinely recommend to you, and they're linked in the newsletter as well. This one here is Systems Thinking, a primer by Donella Meadows. All right, really great book. I'm still working through this. This gives you the foundations in really clear language and a couple of nice visualizations as well. Real examples, no academic jargon, in under 250 pages. All right. Second, we have Systems Thinking Made Simple by Derek and Laura Cabrera. This one breaks it down into 4 rules with practical exercises. DSRP, they call it. All right, those are distinctions, systems, relationships, and perspectives. It's simple enough to apply tomorrow, so give it a try. I'll link them below. But in essence, these both books teach you to spot leverage points where small changes multiply the results. But here's why this matters more than just getting AI prompts, all right? Look, AI amplifies what you feed it, right? We know that. We talked about this before. If you feed it isolated tasks and you get isolated outputs, feed it mapped dependencies, and it suggests improvements across the entire system. So systems thinking helps you anticipate ripple effects, so to say. It can avoid unintended consequences and design solutions that align with broader organizational context rather than just technical optimization. And here's the thing, your boss cares way more about that second part, all right? So if it's time for the career ladder, you'll be standing in front if you have that systems thinking skill developed already. And professionals who map systems become indispensable because they prevent expensive mistakes before they ship. Consultants who map client systems, they close more projects because they demonstrate understanding beyond just the tool. So here's what I would suggest. This week, start with the iceberg model. Next week, map one workflow, even for yourself. It doesn't have to be with a client. And in your next project review, ask who else get affected. Systems thinking builds through repetition, not revelation. All right, if you want more details on this, more resources, some links, check out the AI Adopters newsletter, all right? I've linked it below so you can check out this episode, and we dive deep into stuff like this every week. And hey, if you found this valuable, share it with a friend who's trying to figure out this whole AI thing. I'm here to help, and they'll thank you later for that. With that being said, adapt and create. Bye-bye.